You know that feeling when you walk into a meeting and your stomach just drops? You already know how it's going to go. Someone is going to say something that sets someone else off. The tension is going to be so thick you could cut it with a knife, and you are going to sit there, nodding, pretending everything is fine, while internally counting down the seconds until you can escape back to your desk and breathe again. That is not a small problem. That is your daily reality. And if nobody has said this to you before, let me say it now. That kind of chronic workplace tension costs you more than you realize. Studies in organizational psychology consistently show that employees who regularly navigate unresolved conflict at work lose an average of 2.5 hours of productive focus every single day just from the mental residue of difficult conversations gone wrong. That is over 12 hours a week. That is essentially 1.5 full working days every single week, gone, not because you are lazy, not because you are bad at your job, but because nobody taught you the one skill that changes everything, and that skill is not what you think it is. Most people assume the secret to better workplace conversations is learning to speak better, to be more assertive, to choose better words, to respond instead of react. But here is the truth that communication experts and organizational psychologists have quietly known for decades. The transformation does not start with your mouth, it starts with your ears. Now, before we go any deeper, I want you to know something. There is a program linked in the description below this video, and I am going to be honest with you. If you are the kind of person who thinks they already know everything about listening, this program is probably not for you. But if you have ever walked away from a workplace conversation feeling misunderstood, dismissed, or just completely drained, then what is waiting for you in that description could genuinely change the trajectory of your career. Check it out when you are ready. But first, let me show you exactly why this matters so deeply. Picture this. You are in a conversation with a colleague. Maybe it is your manager, maybe it is someone on your team who has been passive-aggressive for weeks. They are talking, and while they are talking, you are already formulating your response. You are mentally rehearsing your defense. You are thinking about the last time they did this. You are already 3 moves ahead in a chess game they do not even know you are playing. And here is the brutal part. They can feel it, they may not be able to name it, but something in their body shifts, their voice tightens, their words become more guarded. The conversation starts deteriorating before it even really begins, and by the end, nothing is resolved. Both of you leave feeling worse than when you started. That right there is the cost of not listening. And it is happening in offices, on remote calls, in break rooms, in one-on-one meetings, and in performance reviews all over the world every single day. Now let me flip this completely. Same scenario, same colleague, same tension hanging in the air. But this time, something is different. This time, instead of preparing your defense while they are speaking, you actually stop. You drop the internal monologue. You focus entirely on what this person is actually communicating, not just the words, but the emotion underneath the words, the frustration, the fear, the need to be heard. And then, before you say a single thing, you reflect back what you heard. Not parroting, not mimicking, genuine reflection. You name what you sense they are feeling. You acknowledge their experience without agreeing or disagreeing with their position. Something almost magical happens in that moment. Their shoulders drop, their breathing slows. The defensiveness begins to drain out of the conversation like water from a bathtub. And suddenly, for the first time, you are actually talking to each other instead of at each other. Research from Harvard's negotiation program and similar institutions confirms this pattern. When people feel genuinely heard, their willingness to collaborate increases by up to 40%. The conversation moves toward resolution 2 to 3 times faster, and the emotional residue after the conversation, that leftover stress and resentment that used to follow you home, decreases dramatically. This is not soft skill territory, this is hard science with real business outcomes. But let me get even more specific about the pain, because I want you to really feel this before we go further. You have probably been in a situation where you said exactly the right thing logically, you had all your facts straight, your argument was airtight, and yet the other person still shut down, still escalated, still went and complained about you to someone else after the conversation, and you were left thinking, what did I do wrong? I said everything right. The answer is devastating in its simplicity. You were right, but you were not heard. And more importantly, they did not feel heard by you. Logic alone almost never wins a difficult workplace conversation. Emotion always speaks louder than logic in moments of high tension. Always. This is not a bug in human behavior. This is a feature. Our brains are wired to process emotional safety before they process information. If someone does not feel emotionally safe in a conversation with you, no amount of logical argument will break through. Their nervous system has already flagged the interaction as a threat, and they are operating from a place of self-protection, not collaboration. This is why so many smart, capable, well-meaning professionals make zero progress in their most difficult workplace conversations. They keep bringing better arguments to a fight that cannot be won with arguments. Now here is where the transformation becomes almost unfair in how effective it is. When you master the skill of deep intentional listening, and I mean truly master it, not just nod more or maintain eye contact, but genuinely recalibrate how you receive another person's communication, you start to see results that feel almost like a superpower. Conflicts that used to drag on for weeks get resolved in a single conversation. Colleagues who used to avoid you start seeking you out. Your manager starts describing you using words like trustworthy, diplomatic, someone who really understands people. Your team's performance improves because the psychological safety in the room goes up and people feel free to actually say what they are thinking, instead of performing agreement while privately disengaging. And the career implications of this are staggering. Gallup research consistently shows that leaders who are rated highly on listening and interpersonal communication skills are 50 times more likely to be seen as effective by their teams. 50 times, not 50%. 50 times. And employees working under those leaders are up to 21% more productive. Think about what that means for your own trajectory. Every difficult conversation you navigate successfully, every moment you turn potential conflict into genuine connection, you are building a reputation that compounds over time. You are becoming the person in the room that people want on their side. But I need to be honest with you about something important. This does not happen automatically. Knowing that listening matters is not the same as being able to actually do it under pressure. Because here is the brutal reality. In the moments when better listening matters most, a tense performance review, a heated disagreement with a peer, a conversation where your credibility or career feels on the line, those are precisely the moments when listening becomes hardest. Your cortisol spikes, your focus narrows, your brain wants to protect you, not open you. Every instinct in your body is screaming at you to defend, deflect, or dominate the conversation. This is why most people, even people who genuinely want to be better communicators, fall back into old patterns the moment the pressure is real. And this is exactly why the professionals who actually break through in their careers are not just the ones with the best ideas, they are the ones who have done the work to rewire how they show up in high-stakes conversations. And the difference in outcomes between those two groups is not small. People who have genuinely developed this skill report faster promotions, fewer HR incidents, stronger professional relationships, and significantly lower levels of work-related stress. They go home at the end of the day without that heavy cloud of unresolved tension following them. They sleep better. They make better decisions because their cognitive bandwidth is not constantly being drained by interpersonal conflict. That is the real cost of improvement. Or rather, that is the real return on investing in this skill. Let me paint you one more picture. Imagine 6 months from now. You are sitting across from someone who, today, represents one of your most draining workplace relationships. But in this imagined future, something is different. You are calm. Not because the situation got easier, but because you did. You have learned to regulate your own nervous system in difficult conversations. You have learned to listen with your whole body, not just your ears. You have learned to create the kind of conversational space where even the most guarded, defensive colleague starts to open up. And because of that, the conversation resolves in 20 minutes what used to take 3 weeks of passive aggression, emails copied to management, and agonizing replays at 2 in the morning. That version of you is not a fantasy, it is a skill set. And skills can be learned. Now, if everything you have heard in this video has landed for you in a real way, if you have recognized yourself in any of these moments, the drained energy, the unresolved conversations, the feeling of being right but still losing, then I want to point you back to what I mentioned earlier. The program linked in the description below this video exists specifically for people who are ready to stop surviving difficult workplace conversations and start transforming them. It is not for everyone. If you are content with how things are, move on. But if you have felt even one moment of recognition in this video, if some part of you knows that you are leaving real career momentum on the table because of how you are currently showing up in hard conversations, then the worst thing you could do right now is wait. The people who are already using what is in that program are not waiting for things to get better on their own. They are making it happen now. Do not let another month of draining conversations go by before you decide you deserve better than that. Go check out what is waiting for you in that description right now.